in early steps of my career, I was mainly a contemporary music performer and a teacher. And while I was facing new music from today's composer, I was in the meantime trying to find my position in the orchestra. So I had to combine two kinds of preparation. While the modern composer were requiring me to develop new techniques in order to be suitable to a completely different language, I had also to try to be competitive for a position in the orchestra, and trying to survive in this kind of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde situation. I had to I had the pleasure to discover that some of the modern techniques, some of the effects which are required by the today's composer can be absolutely useful in order to develop skills for the classical repertoire. So during the years, I tried to make a selection of the effects, the techniques which were actually suitable to this purpose. And if we can scroll to the third slide, I tried to over myself. I made some experiment on my own, and I tried this method useful for a double purpose, which is from the contemporary point of view, is the acknowledgement of new music skills, which are, as we all know, nowadays are very important, even for classical music competition. If we cast a glance to the program of the international music competition, we always find, even in the first rounds, a selection of modern composition, modern musics. And by the other side, as I was telling, this method is quite useful in order to develop also some basic skills of the flute, which in my method I have structured in 4 areas, which are sonority, flexibility, intonation, and articulation. Of course, I don't mean that all of this is completely new, because if we scroll to the following slide, I have to mention that a lot of methods have been published in the last decades, and some of them are specifically contemporary. The most famous of all, of course, is the Robert Dix new flute, and I would love to mention also, even if it's less renowned, the Pierluigi Mencarelli's method over flauto, which has been edited by Suvini Zerboni some decades ago, and it's very useful, and I'm very thankful to him for because it's very rich of fingerings, and I took a lot from this method. Then a kind of similar work has been made previously by brilliant flutists such as Peter Lucas Graf, Giampaolo Pretto. I forgot to put in this list also Trevor White, for using some single elements of the modern music, with the same purpose, to develop classical skills. The most frequently used is of course the sing and play, which is probably the most antique technique used by the composer. What is new in my idea, I think it's a complete selection of the techniques, and the structure, which is systematic, that I try to give in order to improve single areas using specific techniques. And then every area is completed by some transcription with I hope they are quite funny, where they apply these techniques to some very renowned excerpts of symphonic music, or also folk songs and whatever. So we scroll to the following slide, and it's a kind of list of the effects that I have selected, and the one that I have chosen not to use in this case, because some of the discarded ones are less useful for specific aspects, such tongram or slap, which can have a utility for developing the articulation, but they are not so groundbreaking. I mean, and other ones because I find them actually negative for developing classical skills, like the blown sounds, just whistles, and so on. If we can go a little bit deeper in this project, and we scroll to the 6th slide, I'm here talking about the harmonics, which are used, of course, for developing sound skills. As we all know, playing with the harmonics, it's kind of difficult because we have to be a little bit more similar to brass players, because we have to be very aware of the interval we want to play, the note we want to play, and it's also required a bigger air pressure, so a more physical way of playing. And these difficulties that we are facing while using the harmonics helps us to have a better perception of the intervals, of the highness of a certain note, and trying to have the better sound possible while playing the harmonics. Actually, we are working hard on tone definition and on enrichment of sounds. So if we scroll down, Professor Correia already did it. Thank you. There is okay, the first line is a very, very classical one. I mean, it's just to understand the basics of the harmonics, and I choose not to go higher than the high G, because what is interesting for me is not to obtain the highest note ever, but is to keep classical. I mean, to keep the classical skills, to have a beautiful sound in a classical way, even using the harmonics. So the following exercises, which are here in small excerpts, have a first bar, which is classical, a second one, which is just the same but playing with the harmonics, and so is not slurred because it would be very hard to do it. From the third bar and going on, we should try to focalize and to concentrate on the same technique, the same way of using the air pressure in order to have the best sound possible, to take advantage of the work we have just done on using the harmonics. So it would sound a little bit like this. The following excerpt is a little bit like that, and it's just a little bit more difficult because we don't have the time to put in our ears the intervals with a whole bar of natural sounds. We go straight to the harmonics, and it's going to be. So the idea is to use the technique, which is more difficult, that we have to develop using the harmonics, and to apply it to the natural sound. If we scroll down of the following slide, this is what I try to describe as a funny elaboration of the modern techniques. This is Cavalleria Rusticana, and it's going to be played with harmonics, which is funny. Probably it's not that beautiful, but it's going to be kind of satisfaction for a player. If I can just play a few bars. Okay, it's not supposed to be so beautiful, but it can be funny to be played. The other part that I developed to work on the sound is concerning the sing and play, which is probably the most renowned modern technique. Having been used also by rock music and by a lot of composers of the 70s and 80s. Of course, the principal advantages that we take from the sing and play is that because we have to sing, we have to use the positions that a singer should use in order to produce a good sound. So the throat should be really relaxed, and this is very helpful for having a bigger support of the airstream, and also to enlarge the sound and find more spaces of resonance, and to be very aware of the intervals when we are not playing and singing the same note, but when we do two different notes. I would go then directly to the following area of the work, which is about the flexibility. And for this field, I used to use the technique of whistle tones. Also here, the whistle tones are quite renowned, maybe not as much as the sing and play, but as I already mentioned, Professor Graf and Professor Preto has worked a lot on these fields, and the main aim is to have precise and relaxed embouchure. what is very difficult in the whistle tones actually is to have a continuity of the air stream, because we tend to go up and down in the intervals, and it's very difficult to take a long note which is very stable and fixed. So in order to do so, and I'm here on the 12th page of the PowerPoint, the first exercise that one should do, in my opinion, in order to produce the first whistle tone of his life, is to take a low note, a long one, and to gradually decrease the air pressure until the air pressure is not enough to produce a classical sound, and the air just hits the riser and goes high, goes out of the flute, so like this. So these are the whistle tones, as we all know, and it's quite easy to produce the first whistle tones as a mistake when we are closing a note and we are not very precise. It's very difficult then, I was saying, to have the intention of producing a precise note, one note, I mean a specific. Actually, now the composer, when using the whistle tones, just ask the performer usually to let them go freely, like you just heard. It's very educative. It's very, from a didactical point of view, it's very useful to be very precise and to be able to produce a certain note. So the second line is also quite a classical exercise. It's a little bit like this. As you hear, it's quite it's easier to reach the higher sounds, and as we go lower and lower, it's very difficult to keep the same note fixed. Okay, then there is a kind of prize of who had the patience to to face this exercise with some elaborations of like the violin romanza of Beethoven, Daphne, Chloe. The Beethoven is going to sound a little bit strange, of course. And so on. It's supposed to be funny. Okay. Now the another and probably this is okay, my favorite part actually is the work on bichords and multiphonics. This is going to be quite useful to increase the power and the amount of air that we are blowing. We are at slide number 13, and it's also useful to relax the throat at the embouchure, and it's going to be very helpful for enriching, enlarging the sound, because when we have to perform at the same time two notes or more in case of the multiphonics, we cannot play two clear and clean notes but we have to perform two dirty notes, and so we have to increase the amount of air that we are blowing, and we have to enlarge the space within the mouth. So, and in this part it has been very useful, the previous work of Pierluigi Mencarelli about the fingerings. If we may scroll down to the following slide, and I developed this kind of exercise, which is kind of arpeggios based on the notes that are produced using a certain fingering. So the first bar is just a long chord, and for producing it we should use the fingerings, which is over, and of course the first one is a high D, and then the second bar, which has the parenthesis. This means that we should keep that position, that fingering, and produce the single notes or bichords. The third bar, while we are playing this, we should take advantage of the larger position within our mouth that we have developed using previously the bichords, and so we should play as beautiful as possible, and then conclude again with a chord. So it's going to be like this. As you may notice, the position of the lips is much more relaxed than the usual. So I play. It should be the hole should be a little bit greater, and I blow a larger amount of money in order to take two parallel sounds which are not well defined. This is going to be not so beautiful in a classical point of view, but very useful in order to, as already mentioned, to find a good opening of the throat, of the mouth, and a good and relaxed position. And again, we scroll down and there is a kind of funny elaboration of again Beethoven for violin, and using because this is quite crazy actually. The part of the work which concerns the intonation is developed differently from other methods, such Peter Lucas Graf, who uses the tone bending, which is also very useful. And I prefer to use some alternative fingerings. We are on page 16 of the slides, which are okay. They can be also useful in a life of a classical performance for for fast passages in orchestras, or also for find different timbric solutions. But they are also quite useful for the perception of intonation, and to develop new ideas and new potential about the timbre, the kind of sound, the color of the sound that we have to find in different repertoire. We scroll down to the exercise page, and here we have very classical arpeggios which have to be played twice, and the first time is using those kind of crazy fingerings on the top of each note, and trying to play as legato as possible, even if we are trying to understand what the L is written on the top. and the second time we should play inspired by the first performance, so more freely and with a good perception of intonation and a full and bright sound. The timbre of the first exposition is going to be very, very dark and very strange. So and this goes on chromatically, and it's going to be very useful, yes, for intonation, for finding new solution also, with the fingerings that can be used in different phases of the artistic profession. The following page is a kind of yeah, even here crazy elaboration of the andante of the Reinecke sonata. I'm going to let you hear just a couple of bars. Okay, I guess I put one key more on the last note. Okay, so it's going to be quite useful, not for the exercise itself, but for getting also new ideas about the color, which, as we all know, are a lot on our instrument. The part of work on the articulation is only focused on the technique of Flatterzung, which is also very, very renowned and quite used. Usually the composers use it as a kind of for exaggerating the perception of articulation, such passages of Berio sequenza that in the tradition are just performed with the Flatterzung, yeah, because they are not possible to play it as staccato as the composer requires it, but also because the Flatterzung is traditionally perceived as the last step of a very fast and faster and faster articulation. But what I think is very interesting for a classical player of the Flatterzung is the fact that using the R, this kind of articulation allows us to blow the air in a continued way, while we tend, all of us, I mean, tend to stop the airstream each note while we are articulating ta 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 ta. It's a kind of a mistake that at the beginning we all do. Using the Flatterzung, we are obliged to blow as we do for a slurred phrase or for a long note, because the movement of the tongue is continued. It's not just a ram and then go behind. It's a kind of continuous movement, and so this is the main purpose of this kind of work on the Flatterzung. Another thing that is quite interesting is that using this articulation, the air direction tends to go out of the flute, tends to go, since it's the airspeed is increasing, it tends to go out of the flute, and so it's kind of interesting to correct the air direction and to find the right place, the right point where to aim with the airstream, which has to be lower or more inside the flute. Yeah, and then the exercises that I developed are more I mean the most classical of all the book, and yeah, we have all the whole series of scales, and on each note of the scales we should do this kind of a long pattern that gradually increase the rhythm of the articulation, and the last part is the flatter song. So the idea is to keep the stream very firm, and to be very precise with the airstream, so not to go over the flute, and this is quite difficult. This is why it's so difficult to obtain the flatter tone on the lower register, because we tend to increase the air pressure. So in my idea, the flatter tone, yeah, it's a funny effect and all, but it's also quite useful for these purposes. And then, yeah, we have couple of elaborations of Crispy Ludwig, which is the Third Symphony, and Midsummer's Night Scherzo. And the idea of this excerpt is, yes, to keep the airstream and to be inspired by this thing while we are playing it classically. And what I think for the future development of this work is, and we may scroll to the slide 23, is a structured and complete publication of handbooks on the single topics that I face here in this book, quite, briefly. So on sonority, flexibility, articulation, and intonation, those aspects have to be investigated using more exercises, more variety of exercises, but also more technique, like as I mentioned, also the tone bending, the slaps, and all of the kind of new techniques that can be suitable to develop further the basic skills of the flute. We are already working with other colleagues of my concert band to develop the same kind of work, even with other woodwinds instrument. And I would like to work on translation of this method, which is going to happen, I think, and I hope quite soon. And it could be possible also to do kind of video tutorials for not only to explain those techniques specifically, I mean, because those kind of tutorials already exist, but to explain how these techniques and other can be suitable, can be studied in order to improve the classical skills. So I hope I've been brief enough, and I just would like to thank Professor Correa, as already said, for organizing this, and also for allowing me to be there virtually, which is so important for me. And even if I have the big regret to not to be able to listen to the amazing concertos and recitals, and overall the new theories that I know that are presented there, because it's quite yeah, it's groundbreaking. I mean, the idea of connecting researchers and performers and scholars and musicologists, this is very brilliant, and my biggest regret is that. I would like to thank the Italian Police Concert Band, which is my second home and is giving me inspiration for my work inside and outside the concert band itself. My Academy of Music, Area di Musica, and as it's written, my family, Angela, Alessandro, for supporting me for everything I do, including this presentation, this project. So thank you so much all, and I hope there are some questions, and I'm here for answering if possible. Thank you so much.
Yes. Normally we applaud. Thank you for your contribution. So I'll ask the audience if they have any questions or any comments to your statement. So, can you hear? No.
No, actually no.
So about the flatter tone. As you know, I'm sure there are two positions of the tone to do the flatter tone. You can do it in Portuguese, we say the Italian R, or you can do it more back in the throat.
Yeah.
So what do you think about it?
Yeah, I guess we are talking about the French flatterzung and which is more behind. I mean, yeah. Usually, I refer to the flatterzung. No.
Sorry, because you talked about keeping the tone down, but if you do the flatterzung, then or the Italian R, then the tone is not so low.
Yeah, no, it's behind the teeth, of course. No, I was talking about not the tongue down, but the air direction down, which is quite difficult. I mean, it's difficult even when we simply articulate with a T. I mean, with a kind of letter which is quite forward within the mouth. So when we eat the teeth with the tongue, using a T or a R, it's quite easy that if we do not control the air direction, we go straight with the air, and so the sound is going to be sharp, and we are going to play out of tune and out of the sound, classically speaking. With the flatterzung we have the same problem, and even greater one, because the articulation is continued, so we tend to do and we should try to focalize the right point where the flute plays, which is under, of course, the lips, and this is quite useful also for the normal articulation, since it's even more difficult, I mean, than the normal articulation. If I understood well the question, I hope that I...
Question is, when you do the R flatterzung, it is more difficult, at least for many, the lower notes.
Yeah.
So you are saying that it's, as I understood, you were saying that it's a question of the air direction, to put it as...
air direction and also air pressure, because if I play for taking inspiration for the first note of the PowerPoint, which is a low F. I have to be very concentrated on reducing the air pressure, because it's going to be too much with the turbulence of the tongue movement inside the mouth. And I have to reduce the air pressure and to focalize the right point where the air should go, and so trying to slow down the airspeed and find the right place where it should be put. When I articulate normally, it's going to be a little bit like this, but I mean in a less extreme way. There is always this kind of movement forward and behind of the tongue, which gives more speed to the air that I'm blowing, and at the same time, the faster air is going to go more straight and not in the right direction, which is lower. This is one of the utilities, I mean, of the Flattersong. And then, of course, I have to play as I play slurred, as I play a long note, because the articulation is it's continued. While I play a normal staccato on a single note, I could also cut every time the air stream, like I stop, 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 stop. When I play frullato or flattersong, sorry, frullato is very Italian. I have to be very a very continuous airstream, and then I inspire to this and perform a normal staccato using you know a very solid airstream which never stops. The sound is only stopped by the tongue which eats the teeth and goes behind. So that's the main idea about this.